Hey, Jack.
Hi, Rich.
What are we talking about today? What's going on?
We're going to talk about No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky is a rarely seen genre of the looking at funny rocks and animals simulator. You play as the man in the no sky, and you're tasked with deciding which funny rock and animal to vaporize. Then you can power your ship with their innards in order to fly to a different planet so you can continue looking at funny rocks and animals. And that's No Man's Sky.
I remember
Yes.
the first E3 where No Man's Sky showed up. And it just looked so amazing. Like, there's this planet and all these things, and you get in your ship and you fly to another planet, and there are other things, and you get in your ship and there's space battles everywhere. It looked very exciting. It looked great. I'm like, oh God, well this looks refreshing. This looks interesting. And then a year went by, and it was at the next E3 2015.
Yeah.
And there's this lush planet, and animals are everywhere, and then you get your ship and you fly out, and then there were space battles, and they flew to another planet, and like, all of this looks the same. Oh God, there's not gonna be enough variety in the things you do.
Yeah.
So my big worry after E3 2015 was that it was just gonna get old really quick.
Yeah.
So I was braced to be disappointed.
Sure. You know, like looking back, I recently rewatched that first trailer.
Yeah.
And just mega, space battles and dinosaurs, and it looks so beautiful. And I remember, like, as we were getting closer and closer to the release of No Man's Sky, everyone, myself included, had the same question, which was, but what do you do in the game? Procedurally generated whole planets, procedurally generated galaxies. Like, oh great, but what do you do in the game? So then in the game, what you have to do is, like I said, you have to find rocks that will power your spaceship and your spacesuit. And then on each planet are these little houses. And the houses will have people in them. And if you interact with them in a certain way, that you can find like upgrades to your gun or upgrades to your suit or upgrades to your ship. And then you do all that, you fuel up your ship, you jump off to another star. And then you go to the second planet, which is procedurally generated, looks completely different.
Wait, completely different? Completely different?
In theory, looks completely different.
Completely different?
It looks different enough to be called different.
It looks, every planet is a different shade of rocks.
Yep. Technically speaking, it's all random. Technically speaking, they're all different, but really it's the same house with a different coat of paint.
It's like driving in the suburbs, and they had the model of house.
Yes.
Some people have pink shutters, and some people have a wrought iron gate. Some people have a wooden fence.
Yeah.
All the same blueprints. And when you drive down the suburbs, you don't really notice the difference. You just notice, all these basically look the same as you're driving down.
They're all colonial ranches with different coats of paint on them. And that's, once I got to like my third or fourth planet, the facade of difference really started to break down. Because let's even assume that every planet is 100% unique and you were wowed by the variety. You're still going to get the same houses on that planet. There's still going to be the pod that you get your suit upgrade. There's still going to be the trading bay. There's still going to be the little capsules that give you ship upgrades. You know what to expect on every planet. So the diversity surrounding that is kind of moot. You know you're going to find the little red flowers that give you Themanium 9 or whatever it's called. You know you're going to get the things that look like giant clams that give you carbon. You know you're going to get the yellow flowers that give you zinc.
Yeah.
Every planet has the same shit on it.
Like I said, it's the same blueprints, different color wall, different yard decorations.
Yeah.
But the plots are all basically identical. There's no goal.
There's no goal.
There's nothing I'm building towards. The whole time I was playing this, I was like struggling for games to compare it to. And at first I was comparing it to like other space games, like Mass Effect's got an exploration combat, or Elite Dangerous, that's a really good space flight sim. Then I realized the best game to compare this to was actually Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley is a game where you kind of like can mine for resources, and then you do crafting to get a bigger barn. And the end goal in Stardew Valley, there's not really one, you want that bigger farm. But at least I've built a farm, and I get something out of that. I don't really feel like I'm gaining anything with all this grinding I'm doing in No Man's Sky.
At the end of the day in Stardew Valley, you can walk out of your house and look upon a thing you created. You created your farm, your barn is there, your crops are in a certain way, you made the path, you made something. If you buy a ship in No Man's Sky, like you didn't make that, it's just something you have now. There's no end goal, there's nothing earned.
Yes.
In No Man's Sky.
Yes, but you got a slightly bigger ship. You got better upgrades on your gun. To do what with? To keep getting more upgrades for your gun. But you don't get that satisfaction of looking at your farm, I guess.
Right. Right.
No Man's Sky feels utterly desolate. There's not, like, where are the space factions? You have to choose side between the Rebellion and the Federation. But if you start doing missions for the Rebels, the Federation doesn't like you that much, and they put a bounty out on your head. Or maybe you could choose to be like a space pirate, and all those those freighters you see by, you could attack them and steal their ship, and or maybe you could just choose to be a trader. Maybe you could like go onto the one planet that's like a smuggler's planet and get like a cargo of like gold. Maybe you could smuggle drugs within that and fly into like the secure system and drop off the goods. No, here's a rock. Take pictures of the rocks and shoot the rocks. And I think what everybody wanted was like an actual space universe sim.
Yeah.
And they didn't get it.
Even the stuff we do get is so light. You know, every planet is full of these like knowledge stones and like these weird alien artifacts that give you insight into like the story-ish and into alien factions that help you learn the language. You'll learn a few bits of language and then you'll get this little conversation with an alien person, and you have to make a decision in that conversation. And sometimes your standing with an alien race will raise or lower. What does that do?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Is it unfinished?
I don't think. Oh, I mean, we know already that the stuff that they had said was going to be in the game is not in the game. Didn't they say you'd be able to like pick sides in a galactic war? Wasn't that uttered at some point?
Like here, we're at the boundary between two warring factions. I could join in, I could take sides.
At some point.
There's nothing resembling that.
I know a lot of people are tossing out like the Hello Games lied to us, and I don't think they lied to us. I don't think there was anything malicious.
Supposedly a lot of like the animal AI type stuff, like isn't there like animals eating plants and interacting with the environment was not in this game, and it's not. They just kind of wander around.
Right, but I don't think they lied. I don't think they. But
the demo they showed is basically a fabrication of things that really aren't in the game.
Right. A lie, to me, implies a malicious intent. I don't believe they said, we're gonna trick everybody. Okay. I think they wanted things to be in the game that, due to time and budget and small team, could not end up in the game.
But they still charge $60 for it.
That's where it gets a little tricky. What I think No Man's Sky is, the comparison I keep making is it is a art house community theater play that ended up advertising itself as a Hollywood blockbuster. Had this been a $20 Steam game, I think everyone would have been really happy. Just like an indie Steam game. I really think...
$20 is acceptable for what, in the end, is the equivalent of the Zen Garden.
I really believe that this game, the point of this game, is to look at weird stuff and upload your findings to the internet.
If you like took these elements, these randomly generated maps and the scanning and the crafting, and you put it inside an other space game, it would be all the fluff that would help prop up a different game.
Yes.
With No Man's Sky, you're just getting like I don't know, like the bare bones, the skeleton of a framework of a universe.
Yeah.
It feels like a tech demo that they were going to show BioWare in a hope that they would buy their random planet generation engine for the new Mass Effect game. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It feels like technology that would go into an actual game. It's a letdown.
It's a huge letdown.
How many ways can you say it's a letdown? We can't do an episode about this game because there's just not enough shit to talk about.
Right?
It's so, random planet, shoot the rocks. Go to the other random planet, shoot the rocks. Go to how do you have a fucking discussion about that? How do you critique that?
I guess, something I definitely want to mention is throughout the gameplay, there were so many technical things that bothered me that, like, even in the walking around simulator, I feel like they failed. All the time, there's this little blue bar on the lower right-hand corner of your screen that gives you like a helpful hint. Like, did you know you can hold down R2 if you want to take off from the planet? Keep in mind, I've been flying a spaceship for 8 hours now, so I fucking know how to take off from a planet. Did you know that if you press the triangle button, you can switch your weapon mode? Even though I have shot every sentinel I've come across and have been mining shit for 8 hours. There's like little helpful hints. I've already done all that shit, and normally, stuff like that wouldn't bother me because I'd be paying attention to the game, but the game was so boring that I just kept on looking at that little helpful reminder saying, I already did that!
There was a DLC ship for pre-ordering the game, and the game would not fucking shut up about it! I had the default ship that I started with. I was upgrading that. I wanted to earn my own ship somewhere in the galaxy. I either wanted to find a crashed one or buy one from a space station.
Right.
But every 2 fucking seconds, reclaim your DLC ship. Reclaim your DLC ship. Reclaim your DLC ship. And I finally did, just to shut it up.
Well, Rich, being a PC game, PC games are known for all of their options, so I'm sure there was an option to turn those off.
No.
Oh no.
No, there wasn't an option to turn that off. It would have been really nice to shut off the obnoxious notifications. You know what else would have been nice to shut off?
What?
The obnoxious achievement shit. There's like a whole in-game achievement journey milestone. This is your milestone. And you don't feel like you're doing anything. You don't care about any of them because the game's boring, but they fucking pop up every few minutes to let you know you did something.
You've walked 10,000 units. Whoa.
Like, big fucking deal. They have to actually pretend you're doing something. They have to pretend you're accomplishing something in this game.
That's the thing, and every time one of those things popped up, I'd say, so?
I don't feel like I've done anything. Why, get away!
Yes, I've warped 50 times. That's great. Does that mean I'm closer to my objective? I don't know.
I had one of those pop up when I was fighting those Sentinel drones. And I couldn't shoot at the Sentinel drones because I couldn't see a cursor because there was a milestone. Meanwhile, I'm getting shot to pieces. Milestone! Oh, God!
Yeah. Now, normally, a game would give you the option to turn off achievement notifications, but this game has them integrated into the system. fucking like a bunch of tiny things that in a better game would be nitpicks, but here it's all we have to focus on.
You know what the weird thing about this game is? I don't know what it is. You feel like you're knee high.
Oh.
Doesn't it always feel like the camera is hovering right over the ground?
Your character is abnormally short. Absolutely.
What creates that illusion? Is it just like some really shitty textures, and it makes you feel like you're closer to the ground?
Maybe or like camera angle, I guess. Depth of, or what do you call that? The field of view.
Field of view. Here's the field of view.
Yeah.
Fucking defaults to 75.
Oh, sure. So,
I had to manually bump that shit up.
Oh, you had to manually.
Yeah.
Well, you played it on PC. I played it on the PS4. So you had to manually bump it up to 90. I didn't have an option to change it.
Oh, wow.
It was just stuck at 75. So for the whole game, I was looking at it through a tiny little box window. I would have loved to change my field of view fucking hell.
Well, I was playing on PC. It ran a bit bumpy here and there.
Yeah.
I'm assuming playing on the PS4, you had a much smoother experience, though, because it probably, the hardware's the same on every PS4.
Right.
So you probably had a smoother experience.
So, as part of the PlayStation E3, it was an exclusive to consoles, to PlayStation.
Yeah.
It crashed on me a total of 12 times.
Whoa. It crashed?
It crashed on the PlayStation 4 12 fucking times.
So consoles have now officially taken all of the negative aspects of PC gaming.
And none of the positives.
None of the positives.
I didn't get to change any of my graphic settings, but it still crashes.
Why couldn't I build a thing? Why couldn't, all this shit I'm gathering, these resources, why couldn't I build anything out of it?
Nope.
Just a few upgrades. Don't feel like they make much of a difference to the overall experience.
By the way, that was the most upsetting part for me. Is like, I'd get a new blueprint, because that's a big part of the game is finding these blueprints, and you have to go here and here and here and here, and you get a bunch of random blueprints. And finally, I found a blueprint that made my gun fire faster.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm running into sentinels a lot. I fire faster. So then, I need these minerals. So you go hunt around for the minerals, and that's the game. Is I want this blueprint, so I go hunt for the minerals, and I make this blueprint, and I put the thing on my gun, and it doesn't feel like it does much more. None of the upgrades made me feel more powerful or faster. I got a stamina upgrade because the default walk in this is like an old man with a walker. It's frustratingly slow.
It's the experience. You walk around, you take in these fantastic environments that are nowhere near as interesting as they were in the demo.
So I got the stamina upgrade, so you get a slightly longer run period. I couldn't tell you the difference. I cannot tell you how much longer I could run.
I was very excited because, the different upgrades, like +1 or +2, there's different levels of them. I found a +3 blueprints. I found blueprints for a +3 stamina upgrade.
Ooh.
I went to craft that. It wasn't in my blueprints. It just wasn't there. I found the blueprints, then when I went to craft it, the recipe wasn't there. Unfortunately though, I was at another location, I found that blueprint again. It said you already have the blueprint, so I didn't get it.
It's a little buggy. No Man's Sky, a little buggy. Some glitches here and there. I think me specifically, I came into this game wanting something more. And I hate that I'm gonna say this, but this game, No Man's Sky, desperately needed some sort of story. I needed something.
We have a reputation as the anti-story guys too.
Oh, me specifically?
To clarify, story is only bad when it replaces gameplay.
Right.
When gameplay, who cares about that? Here's the story I'm telling. This doesn't mean that story is a bad thing.
Right. And in fact, here's a situation where if I would have had something to help motivate me to get to the next planet, or motivate me to walk over the next mountain, I might find, a person who can help me, or an interesting story, or something other than another rock that I can scan. It's so dull.
At the end of the day, there's no point to any of the things you fucking do.
There's no point to any of it. Small spoiler warning. Small spoiler warning.
Large spoiler, but really it's a small spoiler.
So I kept on wandering through the planets, and eventually you realize that every planet is essentially the same. It all has the same shit on it.
Yeah.
So then I said to myself, well then, my goal is to get to the galactic core. And I started hauling ass to the galactic core.
To get to the only goal the game has.
To get to the only goal the game has, which was to reach the galactic core. It was so much of a goal in the game that it had an entire map screen dedicated to the path to the galactic core. And after 2 days, after 2 full days of traveling, and this was, by the way, after a week of just regularly playing the game and warping here and there, running into many black holes, I was 168,000 light years away from the galactic core.
Oh my god.
And every jump was maybe 200 light years.
Oh my god.
So I gave up. So I looked up the ending on YouTube. I cheated a little bit. And here's where we get to the big spoiler. Once you reach the galactic core, the camera starts going backwards through all the stars that you visited, and we see the galaxy and the universe and the splendor of all these suns. And then the game starts over. And that's it.
Oh my god. That sounds horrible. What?
So getting to the galactic core actually did nothing. No.
Why bother?
Why bother?
Why bother?
Like I said, I really think the point of this game, this was an art house project that got a little too big for its britches. The point of this game was supposed to be, look at this funny planet I discovered.
It's a tech demo.
Yeah.
That needs a game built around it.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near simmy enough to be a good space sim.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bad Harvest Moon game because I just feel like I'm not getting anything for all of my hard work.
Right.
This game is kind of enjoyable if you just walk around and enjoy walking around. I don't know if you want to get some kind of like Zen meditation out of playing No Man's Sky. I guess I can understand that.
Every once in a while, I did have a great moment where, you know, like you warp into a new system and you just see the planets and the asteroids and you see giant spaceships in the distance, and for one moment I'd go, oh, this looks beautiful.
It's too simplistic to have that kind of emergent storytelling. Or like in the Grand Theft Auto game where you got the 5-star alarm and your car crashed and you just hide in a dumpster and oh god, the police, they didn't see me, oh good, and that's a great little emergent moment of adventure. Well, there's nothing like that can happen. What, you see the rocks? If you want better planet exploration, what I'm saying, there's Mass Effect 1. If you want better space sim, there's Elite Dangerous. If you want a better kind of like mining, crafting, and growing, there's Stardew Valley. There's nothing that No Man's Sky does better than some other game has done before, some aspect. It's a bland space sim. It's kind of rather dull exploration.
Well, and like I guess that's what I want to make sure I hammer home in this conversation. Is even though my expectations weren't met, I'm not, I'm being harsh on the game for other reasons. I want to be harsh on the game for what the game tries to do and I believe fails at. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter that this rock is now blue. It's the same rock that's on every planet. It doesn't matter that when you warp into this planet, for some reason, the space around this planet is orange when the space around the other planet was blue. It's all fake.
Yeah.
It's the illusion of change.
So Jack, do you recommend No Man's Sky?
Overall, no. I do not recommend No Man's Sky. I have one very specific recommendation. I think if you're a big pothead, you would love No Man's Sky. I think if you get high and slowly walk through beautiful planets and slowly fly through space, it's a very simple game with repetitive actions, and it's beautiful to look at sometimes. So I think if you are a person who gets high, you would really enjoy No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
For anyone else, and possibly for some people who get high, they won't like it, so no. I don't recommend it, and I'm really mad at it.
For anybody, I don't recommend it for the price. This is not a $60 game. This never should have been a $60 game. I think whether or not you'll enjoy it, in part depends upon, well, not necessarily if you'll enjoy it, but how much you hate it. It depends upon your expectations. Like if you bought into the idea, which I don't know that they ever really sold, but of a fully realized science fiction universe where you can land on any planet, it's just not gonna be that. It's not gonna be that. If you want some kind of zen-y kind of time waster where there is no goal. There's just no goal in the fucking game, where you just enjoy walking around and scanning the same things over and over again, maybe you'll get something out of that. Maybe it's like as a relaxation tool.
Oh, you know what? Maybe.
But I personally don't really enjoy the game, so no.
Weather warning. Incoming storm.
I'm gonna say this.
Yeah.
This is a game that actually needs space politics.
Yeah.
Just because George Lucas is a fuck up doesn't mean that space politics are boring.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Star Trek is fucking built around space politics. Like the Klingons are trying to get that planet, Kirk. You gotta go down there and convince them to sign the treaty with us. And it leads to some kind of adventure or interesting political stuff. Deep Space Nine was 7 seasons of like war diplomacy, and it fucking worked.
Some of the best episodes of Next Gen were just them figuring out a diplomatic solution to it. Was people talking in a room about politics.
Don't let George Lucas have ruined the concept of space politics for you.
Like I said, I don't want to go too deep into like what I wanted from the game, because you know what I want and what the game is are two different things. But like, could you imagine if any of your conversations with the alien was deeper than figuring out a simple moral solution? The conversations you have with the alien are so simple, and they mean nothing.
You can't even understand them until you've learned like hundreds of words. You get like one word here and there.
Sure, but like talking to one alien means nothing when then you talk to the next alien. Like, imagine building a relationship with an alien race.
What you're saying is they don't do a very good job of building a world. This game that's all about randomly generated worlds does not do a very good job at world building.
Oh my God, Rich, that's it! You nailed it! They should have procedurally generated some personalities.
Hey-o!